This is a 1 yen coin. It's worth less than a single penny. In 2005, a single person tried to trade this coin and accidentally deleted $300 million from their company in less than an hour. Meet Mizuho Securities. They were a massive Japanese investment bank. Basically, they were a mountain of money. On December 8th, a junior trader was tasked with selling one share of a recruitment company called JCOM for 610,000 yen, about $5,000. But he had a fat finger moment. He didn't type one share for 610,000 yen. He typed 610,000 shares for 1 yen. In an instant, he had offered to sell the entire company for the price of a cheap candy bar. He hit enter. The market went insane. Professional traders saw the glitch and pounced like sharks. The trader realized his mistake and tried to cancel the order 3 times. The Tokyo Stock Exchange computer said no. By the time the dust settled, Mizuho had lost 40 billion yen. They lost more money in 60 minutes than most people see in 1,000 lifetimes. This wasn't just a loss, it crashed the entire Japanese stock market for the day, all because of a single, tiny, decimal point-sized brain fart. The paradox of the digital age is that we've built systems so powerful they can move billions, but they're still operated by humans who can't even type a text message without a typo. This is a standard laptop hard drive. It's worth about $40. But in 2013, a man named James threw this exact drive into a black trash bag. Today, that bag is buried under 100,000 tons of garbage. And that trash bag is currently worth $500 million. Back in 2009, James was a tech guy who decided to mine a new thing called Bitcoin on his laptop. He mined 8,000 of them. At the time, they were basically worthless. They were play money for nerds. He eventually spilled a drink on the laptop, dismantled it for parts, and put the hard drive in a drawer. Then came the great spring cleaning of 2013. There were 2 hard drives in the drawer. One was empty. One had the Bitcoin keys. He grabbed the wrong one. He realized his mistake a few months later when Bitcoin's price spiked. He rushed to the local landfill. But it was too late. His fortune was buried under 15 feet of compressed waste, diapers, and old pizza boxes. For over a decade, James has been fighting the local council to dig it up, even offering them 25% of the money. They keep saying no. The paradox of digital wealth is that it's supposedly invincible, yet it can be erased forever by a single tidy afternoon. This is a soda bottle cap. In 1992, if you found the right number inside this cap, you'd become a millionaire. But thanks to a single computer glitch, Pepsi printed 800,000 winning caps instead of just one. They didn't just lose money. They started a literal war that involved grenades, riots, and the downfall of a giant. In the 90s, Pepsi was losing the soda war to Coca-Cola in the Philippines. They needed a win, so they launched Number Fever. The premise was simple. Look under the cap. If you have the winning number, you win 1 million pesos. The whole country went soda mad. Sales jumped 40%. Everyone was drinking Pepsi for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then came the night of the announcement. The winning number was 349. There was just one problem. A computer error had malfunctioned at the bottling plant. Instead of one winner, there were nearly 500,000. People showed up at Pepsi warehouses expecting their millions. Pepsi said, "Oops, our bad, here's a $20 peace offering instead." The country exploded. Riots broke out. Over 30 Pepsi trucks were burned. They even threw a grenade at a Pepsi warehouse. Pepsi faced thousands of lawsuits and became the most hated brand in the country, all because of a 3-digit typo. The paradox of greed is that when you promise the world to everyone, you end up owing them more than the world is worth. This is a drill bit. It's about 14 inches wide. In 1980, this tiny bit of metal was pushed into the bottom of a lake. 3 hours later, the entire lake was gone. It didn't just evaporate. It turned into the largest man-made whirlpool in history, swallowing 11 barges, a tugboat, and a forest. Lake Penieur in Louisiana was a quiet 10-foot deep lake. Underneath it was a massive salt mine. Think of it like a giant block of Swiss cheese made of salt. An oil company was drilling for oil on the lake, but because of a single coordinate error, a math mistake, they aimed their drill at the wrong spot. They didn't hit oil, they hit the salt mine. Water started pouring into the mine, and because it was a salt mine, the water didn't just fill the hole, it dissolved it. The hole went from 14 inches to the size of a football stadium in minutes. The lake literally turned into a giant bathtub with the plug pulled. The whirlpool was so strong, it reversed the flow of a nearby canal. For the first time in history, a waterfall flowed backward into the lake. Miraculously, all 55 miners escaped, but the oil company had to pay over $45 million in 1980 money for a mistake that started with a single misplaced number. Today, that totals to around $200 million. The lake fell to 1,300 feet deep instead of 10. A permanent monument to why you should always double check your math. The paradox of the abyss is that the more we try to extract from the earth, the more the earth finds ways to swallow us whole. On May 6, 2010, the US stock market did something impossible. It deleted $1 trillion of wealth in 36 minutes. The FBI spent years looking for the mastermind. They expected a Bond villain. They found a guy in his parents' house in London. He wasn't even wearing pants, and he just cost the world $1 trillion. Navinder was a math genius who hated the big banks. He thought they were cheating the system with high-speed computers. So he built his own software. It was a spoofing program. Basically, it told the market, I want to sell 1 million things. But the second the market reacted, he would cancel the order. He was tricking the world's most powerful computers into a panic. On that May afternoon, Navinder's Pebble started an avalanche. The algorithm saw his fake orders and started selling everything. Companies like Procter & Gamble saw their stock price drop from $60 to 1 cent in seconds. Navinder was just sitting in his bedroom, probably eating cereal, while the most powerful men on earth were having heart attacks. Eventually, the market reset itself, but the damage was done. It took 5 years for the FBI to track the digital trail to a modest house in Hounslow. The kid who broke the world didn't even spend the money. He just wanted to see if he could beat the Goliaths at their own game. The paradox of modern finance is that we've built a $1 trillion tower so fragile that a guy in his pajamas can knock it over. This is a centimeter, and this is an inch. They are not the same thing. In 1999, NASA learned this lesson the hard way when they accidentally turned a state-of-the-art Mars orbiter into a $327 million fireball. It wasn't a meteor, a solar flare, or aliens. It was a single unit of measurement. The Mars Climate Orbiter traveled for 9 months and 400 million miles. It was perfectly on track to study the Martian atmosphere. 2 teams were working on the mission. Team A, Lockheed Martin, was using English units, pounds of force. Team B, NASA, was using metric units, newtons. They just assumed everyone was on the same page. When it came time to adjust the orbit, Team A sent their data over. But because the numbers were in the wrong units, the robot thought it was being pushed much harder than it actually was. Instead of staying safely in orbit, the probe dove way too deep into the Martian atmosphere. The friction literally ripped the satellite apart. NASA engineers sat in the control room, waiting for a signal that would never come. A decade of work and over $300 million gone. All because one team used a ruler that the other team didn't recognize. It remains the most expensive conversion error in human history. A reminder that in science, close enough is the same as totally broken. The paradox of progress is that we can build machines to touch the stars, but we can't agree on how long an inch is.